Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. You know why we're here. We got to talk some Week 3 waiver wire must-add players. I mean, just it keeps happening. It continues to happen. Only 2 weeks in the season. I swear every single player is either nicked up or we've lost some high-end talent already. Not good, no bueno, but this is part of fantasy football. One guy goes down, we got to look to the wire so we can at least try to, make do for the next few weeks. Hopefully your back isn't Nick Chubb, but I mean, it is a big problem that we definitely got to sort out. And I mean, Week 3 waiver wire is what we're talking. Like I said, biggest problem, Nick Chubb on Monday Night Football. He goes down with that horrific knee injury. They didn't even want to replay it. You had to go to social media to see it. If you wanted to, it was cringe. And I mean, you had to definitely look away. Nick Chubb definitely going to be out for the season. His leg bent backwards from a Minka Fitzpatrick hit, just absolutely gruesome. So we're talking running backs. Jerome Ford is definitely on the wire to be priority running back number 1 this week because, going back to Cincinnati days with Desmond Ridder, Jerome Ford was one of my guys. I was really bullish on his game. I think he's got a lot of skills, and he showcased that on that long, almost touchdown run on Monday Night Football. So definitely 24 points right now. Basically got all that on Monday Night Football. You can definitely go and snag him. 17% owned already. Everyone's rushing to the wire already. But, I mean, it's definitely a priority waiver wire pick this week. Just like I said, Kyron Williams was last week. Jerome Ford is definitely one this week, man. Matt Breida, 2% ownership rate with a Saquon Barkley going down. I mean, he's got to be the lead back you want to believe, but you got to believe they're going to be splitting touches with an Eric Gray. That's why I got him on the notable addition list. So if you miss out on a Breida, don't be afraid for an Eric Gray. He's got skills. He's got game. This rookie has got talent. And, I mean, they could definitely split touches. Gray could absolutely jump a Breida, where Breida's got more speed and wheels, but Gray will definitely at least, showcase his ability to gain touches in this New York Giant offense until Saquon does come back. Roschon Johnson's still on the list. We saw Foreman. He was a healthy scratch. Yes, this Chicago Bears offense is not roaming free yet. And, we need to see Justin Fields improve. And, I mean, this running game definitely needs to support him in that cause. Play calling has been horrific for the Bears as well. So Roschon definitely still a 38%. Justice Hill, 44% for these Baltimore Ravens, where Gus Edwards, I don't know, how are they going to disperse touches? They were basically even this past week. So, I mean, Hill is still a good fill-in where the Ravens are going to still try to run the football quite a bit, but Gus Edwards still is going to look to be the number 1 priority, especially on goal line opportunities. Hill you can still get for PPR upside. Like I said, Eric Gray on the board. Jaylen Warren, this one hurts because, Najee Harris just looks terrible. And, I mean, I was wrong. As we sit in Week 3, I can admit I was wrong on promoting a Najee Harris this year. He looks slow. He looks out of touch. Don't like it whatsoever. Jaylen Warren's got to, hook up the pass pro just a little bit more. But, I mean, there's no qualms about it that Jaylen Warren could steal touches from Najee Harris. It could be a 50-50 split before you know it. Don't like it whatsoever for Najee owners, but Jaylen Warren definitely, if he's on your waiver wire, you got to pick him up. Same with Kareem Hunt. Now that Nick Chubb is gone, everyone's putting 2 and 2 together saying, because Hunt played with those Cleveland Brownies, it's going to be a phone call right away. They let Kareem Hunt walk because of a guy like Jerome Ford. So we'll see. They traded for Pierre Strong. I don't know, man. We'll see. Hunt has been on the couch watching football games on the street. Hopefully he's in shape and waiting for the right situation. He's been waiting for a running back to get injured so he can take the priority touches. So we'll see. Highly likely they do make a phone call. Would not be surprised, but I still think Hunt could find his way somewhere else. Still, 13% ownership. Everyone's putting 2 and 2 together now. Don't blow the bank on your fab money on Kareem Hunt, man. Craig Reynolds, we saw Monty go down for these Detroit Lions. Reynolds right now, I don't know if I'm really going to pick him up, but he's definitely here for you on the waiver wire if you've lost a lot of running backs. Ty Chandler, with the struggles that Alexander Mattison has been having, you got to believe they're going to give him more carries as the weeks do start to move forward. But don't be afraid to pick up a Ty Chandler. We might be a little early on it, but I mean, I would rather be early than too late, and you could get him on, pennies on the dollar right now. Ty Chandler is definitely a fan favorite of mine. Tank Bigsby still on the wire, 38%. He's on no points this past week, so I completely understand you fading him for another week. But if you got deeper benches, I mean, definitely stash Tank at this point as well. Same with a Sean Tucker. I'm still beating the drum, waiting for, potential volume share. But, I mean, Rachaad White did look good this past week, so Tucker probably still will not get it. So deeper leagues for a Sean Tucker only. Quarterbacks, we're talking let's ride. Russell Wilson, Okay, the Broncos don't look great overall. They're not winning football games, but Russ is still putting up fantasy points, baby. 42.1 points. He has 51% ownership stake. So if you are struggling at the quarterback spot and you require somebody, definite matchup play for a Russell Wilson is not out of the question because he's still at least moving the ball. And this past week, he did look a lot better than he has in previous, several weeks, that's for sure. Baker Mayfield's feeling dangerous. Where, Deshaun Watson's struggling in Cleveland. You got Baker balling in Tampa Bay. 34 points is only 15% ownership rate. I mean, can we trust it overall? What have I been preaching, as the season started to come on, even going into the offseason where I was a little skittish on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's productivity? I said that Evans and Godwin could uplift a Baker Mayfield, and that's exactly what is happening. Baker's just putting in the right spots for these wide receivers to make plays, and he is not turning the ball over. Big news for Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield back on the fantasy radar. You got Mac Money, Jones, Sam Howell, Derek Carr. Pick your poison, man. I mean, McMoney did not look good versus those Miami Dolphins. Definitely a setback from week one. Sam Howell, on the other hand, 20 points this past week plus. So this offense in Washington is definitely starting to figure things out with an Eric Bieniemy. I have been a huge Sam Howell supporter since him falling in that pre-draft process and scouting report. I said he was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out of that draft, and he is definitely not failing me in my opinions on the matter. I do like Sam Howell over McMoney Jones at this point if you are looking for that quarterback, and he's a gem right now for Superflex leagues. Derek Carr on the list. Did not like what I saw versus a great defense. They still got a lot of things to iron out in New Orleans. Why they're not spreading the ball around is more the protection is not there. Derek Carr's not reading the field properly. So, I mean, Derek Carr for me, he's just on the list if you're struggling for quarterbacks, but I would still keep him on the waiver wire at this point. CJ Stroud and Desmond Ridder, they make my list this week because Desmond Ridder, if y'all didn't know, he's got some wheels. He can actually take off and run, and he showed that this past week. He's been quite efficient, allowing Bijan and Tyler Algier to run the ball. And I mean, Desmond Ridder is going to still be able to support this while not making mistakes. It will be hit and miss from time to time, but again, in deeper leagues, super flex leagues, Ridder is now on the map. Where a CJ Stroud, he threw for bananas over 80 yards, I believe it was. He's going to be one of these guys. CJ Stroud was my dude coming out of this draft class over a Bryce Young. I love the ability, love the team that's around him in Houston, and he will, again, continue to put up numbers. He will throw those interceptions, and turnovers will come as this rookie continues to develop. But especially in garbage time, if the Houston Texans are losing, they will throw the ball a lot, and CJ Stroud will get you those fantasy points. No kidding. Wide receivers, Reynolds from these Detroit Lions found the connection with Jared Goff from back in the LA Rams days. He's looking good. You got a complimentary piece finally for it. Amon-Ra St. Brown waiting for J-Mo to come back, so you will likely have only, I want to say, the next, 4 weeks with a Reynolds potentially. As soon as J-Mo comes back, we'll see how this offense does start to shift and turn. But Reynolds right now can be trusted as your wide receiver 2 flex spot right now. I think if you're struggling at wide receiver point productivity, Reynolds is a good one because these Detroit Lions are definitely airing the ball out and looking good in that respect. Jalen Reed from the Green Bay Packers. He looks good, man. Slot machine. You go back to my scouting report. What did I say? Can he play outside? 100%. Will he dominate the slot? Abso-freaking-lutely. You get Christian Watson back on this field, and Jaden Reed may be able to roam free from that spot. I love it. Absolutely. 10% ownership rate. He looked damn good, even though Jordan Love and the Packers lost his past game. It's growing pains, and this offense is full of youth. They will start to, turn heads as this season does move forward. Tank Dell finds his way on my list. Couple more rookies. Tank Dell and Jalen Hyatt. They look good, man. Dell finally, picking up the steam. C.J. Stroud was looking in his direction a little bit more. He's too darn good and explosive to not get the ball in his hand to move this offense forward. C.J. Stroud should be looking in his direction. He was a camp favorite target for Stroud early, so I fully expect a bigger role for a Tank Dell as the weeks move forward. Subsequently, similarly, for a Hyatt, I think that the New York Giants, man, what a debacle that first half was, and they ended up coming back in that second half with Daniel Jones, Daniel Pennies, and he was finding Jalen Hyatt down the field. This is what they require. They don't necessarily have a true alpha number 1 wide receiver on this club, and Hyatt could definitely earn that role and steal it. He's a field burner, field stretcher. He's an electric playmaker, and as long as that they can get him touches, I think Hyatt's going to be a good one. Might be early on Hyatt too, but definitely get him on your bench at this point. With OBJ injured, We don't know the severity. We'll have to wait for the rest of the week. But Nelson Aguilar does pop up back on the list as Lamar Jackson did look in his direction, looked good, scored a touchdown this past week. This offense without an OBJ, we'll see how it goes. Is it going to be similar to what we understand of these Baltimore Ravens? Highly likely. However, Zay Flowers is picking up steam to be a favorite target with a Mark Andrews. I mean, at least we saw some Rashad Bateman as well, but Nelson Aguilar creeps himself back on the fantasy radar. I'm not rushing to go grab his services, but he's definitely there for y'all if you need wide receiver help. Darnell Mooney, he got no points this past week, so I think we could fade him, but put him on your bench. At this point, I still believe, 41% in this Bears offense should eventually figure something out, okay? By the time we're at week 4 or 5, I will stop promoting any Chicago Bear players if they continue to drop goose eggs. It is not a good scene in Chicago right now. Justin Fields is not finding his reads. He's not even scanning the field. It is a big concern and problem right now. He had seam throws all day. I mean, the offensive play calling 2 screen plays in this back-to-back, one right off the 2-yard line that scored a defensive touchdown. It's just all in disarray. Continuing for the Chicago Bears, not good. No bueno, man. Kendrick Bourne, he did not do good this past week, but he's going to be one of those players. Hits like 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4 times in this New England Patriot offense. Bill Belichick loves to, game plan specific for each team he goes up against and utilize each individual talent for where the weakness is. So 1 out of 4 for Kendrick Bourne seems relatively fair, but I still like Bourne enough with Mac Money Jones and how he has been playing. Sky Moore finds his way back on the board. He caught the football, and we saw Kadarius Toney go down with another injury. Kadarius, I told y'all, I'm done with Kadarius, not even going to talk his name anymore. Sky Moore at least caught the ball and found his way to some point productivity this past week. Playing with a Patrick Mahomes, they will eventually figure it out. You're talking more under 50% ownership rate. If he still is on your waiver wire, someone was disgruntled after week 1 and dropped his services, definitely pick up a Sky Moore, put him on your bench, and wait and see. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees. It's not done, man. I told y'all, Bobby Trees is still cooking in Houston with C.J. Stroud. Stroud needed those veteran present safety blankets, and he found even Dalton Schultz this past week quite a bit. He's going to look for those veterans to at least set the tone, and then he's going to find his guy Tank Dell around the field. So Robert Woods still 19 points. You're talking almost 10 points in the per game in the first 2 weeks. Definite flex appeal for me for a Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. Get him on your roster. 9% ownership is absolutely crazy as we're seeing the lack of productivity for wide receivers around the league right now. Marvin Mims, he pops off, and Jerry Jeudy coming back. Everybody that was beating the drum on Jerry Jeudy in his first week back from the injury saying he's going to blow up. I said, no, pump the brakes, man. We got to see what Jerry's going to do on the field first, and Marvin Mims took the show along with that Johnson kid. Johnson's role is going to be out the door, so don't even look in that direction, but Mims definitely looks good enough to at least put on your bench as a wait-and-see flex option this season. It should come. Allen Robinson, these Pittsburgh Steelers did not look good. He's just on the deeper trend right now if you're looking for wide receiver talent as they officially put Deontay Johnson on the injured reserve. Finishing it off with tight ends, Hunter Henry. Tight end is such a crapshoot once again, trying to find these tight ends to be fantasy viable. 55% ownership for a Hunter Henry. He's likely out of your leagues. The competitive leagues are probably already gone, but 28.3 points. He has scored twice in 2 weeks. You got to love what he's putting up, and at least maybe Bill Belichick is going back to the well and saying the tight end needs to be a bigger part of this offense as they move forward, as is Zach Ertz. We got Dobbs playing quarterback, looked good in that first half until the Giants actually flipped the script, but Zach Ertz, it's okay. It's not great. We got to understand. Like I'm saying, tight end is very volatile, very difficult to trust. There's not many boom tight ends that are, popping off on the consistency charts right now. So as long as you're getting anywhere from that 6.5 to 10 points from your tight end, I think you're winning at this point. You do not want to be under that 5-point threshold because that's kind of where, very close fantasy matchups are getting tilted, and winning is by those tight ends getting those 9 points, 10 points for you. So Zach Ertz definitely back on the radar. Ferguson from these Dallas Cowboys, you knew it was eventually going to happen. Dalton Schultz is no longer there. They need to find a replacement at the tight end spot that Dak can rely on because he loves his tight ends. Ferguson did look good. Even Schoonmaker found his way into the end zone for these Cowboys. Eventually, Schoonmaker, I think, will jump somebody like a Ferguson, but I think Ferguson has first right to appeal right now, and I think he could be a fantasy producer as the season does go on. Hayden Hurst, Did not look good on Monday night, but he's still one of the top tight ends when it comes to fantasy point productivity for whatever that's worth. But I mean, Hayden Hurst definitely still on the radar. He will be that safety blanket where Adam Thielen this week was the safety blanket. Told y'all, man, veteran leadership with these rookie quarterbacks who can catch passes, PPR upside. Hurst and Adam Thielen still going to be your 1-2 punch in that offense to give Bryce Young enough comfortability, probably made up a word there, to at least throw the ball. Dawson Knox finds his way back on the radar. It's going to be far and few between, but the Bills running plenty of 12 personnel, which means that Kincaid and Dawson Knox will be on the field a lot together because they're adding and aiding and helping, I should say, the protection scheme from the right tackle. So I do like that a lot. Credit to Cover One. These guys know how to chop up film, man. If you guys don't know, go over to Cover One. They just break down all Buffalo Bill film. It's just unbelievable. But definitely Dawson Knox is still on the radar, back on the radar as they figure out the roles for Kincaid and Knox in this offense. Granson, Indianapolis Colts, he will have a role continuing. He is very athletic, very fast, and he will continue to rise. Wait and see for him right now. We got to understand the concussion protocol for an Anthony Richardson, but even still, you got Gardner Minshew in the back, so he's going to find this tight end on the regular. I think Granson is a very sneaky sleeper fantasy producer for the next couple weeks, if not for the remainder of the season. Last one, deeper leagues. Jonnu Smith, everyone's going to say you're crazy. 6.7 points for tight ends. Gets him on my list, okay? We're struggling here. And if you're in deeper leagues, 14, 16-team leagues, Jonnu Smith is definitely sitting here for you for the taking if you so choose to take him. But there you have it. That is week number 3, waiver wire must-add players. It's going to get thin until more players start to go down. It was just absolutely brutal for a Nick Chubb. Prayers up to him on a speedy recovery. Hate seeing that to one of the top running backs in the league. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.